Thank you for all the extra subscribers I've recently received. I'm now up to the magic number 1000. Thank you so much, and in thanks I'm going to show you my second project, which is a side project in a different scale. This isn't an end to the 00 gauge reviews and things, which will continue as normal. It's just a little bit extra on the side. So this was filmed over a few weeks. Sorry if I repeat myself, but I couldn't remember what I put in the last one. So anyway, here we go. Thank you. Hello, welcome to Brockwell Lane again. Something a bit different here. I've decided to have a little bit of an experiment, a side project in N-gauge, and a return to diesels. Now I've got a starter pack here. A basic oval, a couple of points, and then I've also bought a couple extra points there, some underlay, a locomotive and 2 coaches. Now I've got a plan for this, well, sort of a rough plan, or a place to put it anyway, which will be on a board which will be removable, to just give me the ability to run longer trains than on Brockwell, and round in circles. So let's see what happens. First job is just to set the track loosely out on the floor, so I get an idea of what sort of size piece of wood I need to buy. Now I've added to this Pico set, starter set, a circle of Bachmann track which I already had, just to make an outer loop. So I'm going to measure that and see how wide that is. I mean, I've got some flexi track as well to put in between, so it's going to be a lot longer than that, but I've just set it out just to get an idea. I've added to this starter set with another 2 small points which I intend to use in the fiddle yards, so they're not going to be quite as visible, so it won't matter that they're small and not the usual ones I'd buy for the scenic section. The corners also look a bit rough here, but that's not going to matter too much because they're not going to be visible. I'm going to hide them behind scenery, tunnel mouth, something like that. So just planning and measuring, making sure the coaches and things go around before I actually go out and buy some MDF or the baseboard. Well, as you can see, I've now got a board in place, which is 7 foot long by 2 foot wide, and the train's running round. It's not finished yet, I've got some work to do at the far end, but the track plan has developed from, well, it was just going to be a freelance little double loop into, and this will give you a clue, Georgimus Junction. Now I know there's class 47s going around, and I don't think 47s ever went up there, but the original plan was to do the Highland Main Line, or a station on the Highland Main Line, and I just suddenly figured out that this would probably work as Georgimus Junction, so that's what it's going to be. So I've got a bit more track laying to do, but at least I can run in those locomotives, even if they are now unsuitable for this particular line. Now it does mean that the corners are quite train setty like and unrealistic, but that's all I've got to work with, 2 foot wide, so it's got to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have fun hiding some of these corners. For example, there's going to be a scenic break over here, that's going to be a scenic section over there. I'm going to put the controller on top of this corner, so this will not be in the scenic view. There'll be a back scene along there, so they'll just disappear under the bridge. That'll look like it's going straight on towards Wick. This end Now this is the tight corner to Thurso, which is tight in real life but not quite as tight as that. Now I'm going to hide that because I don't want it to look like it's going round in a circle. So somewhere along across there, and I have to put bushes around there to hide that a little bit. That'll be fun, hiding that nasty curve. And then similarly at this end, as you're going south towards Inverness, there'll be a break across there so you don't see that corner. This will be hidden, all this fiddly yard will be hidden from view to some extent, unless you look over the top, of course. So I've had to buy a few more points, and I have stuck with those small ones, small radius points, so not ideal, but the small amount of space I've got, just have to make do. So I've ordered a few more bits and bobs, and I can't do much more until they come, so see you in a minute. So here we are, about a week or two later. All my tracks now down, all running properly, and I have also been to Hobbycraft, which is a brilliant place for modelers. There's all sorts of useful bits and bobs you can buy, and I've got some scenic brakes up now and a back scene, which really changes the layout from a train set to, you know, started to look a bit more like a model railway, because it's hidden the nasty curves and gives the train somewhere to go and emerge from. So let's have a look down the correct viewing angle. So this is looking east under the A9 road bridge towards Wick. The platform will be in this area. It actually extends under the bridge there. There's a second platform here, which is staggered from the other one, which goes down in between those tracks. That line, as I said before, goes off to Thurso, so it now disappears under the back scene, and trains will emerge from there. There's then the signal box, which is going to be about there, which actually got taken away later on. My time period for this is sort of basically 1988 sort of area. Whether that should have been there at that time or not, I'm going to have to do a bit more research. I might have it anyway because I like signal boxes. And then at the other end there, there's going to be like a little depot building on there, which I've ordered off eBay, which I think was for track machines rather than engines. Might have had 2 tracks in real life, but I haven't got room for that. And then the 2 tracks go south. In real life, these would then come back together again to a single line, just past that building. But I've kept the 2 going around there because it gives me a little bit extra storage space for another train around the corner there, and doesn't restrict me in length to trains I can run, because that loop now runs all the way from there all the way to the other side, you know, this sort of area. So that's a hell of a long train, probably 2 trains I could get behind one another if necessary. So this road bridge at the end here, on the Wick end, is a very nice feature which exists in real life over the end of the platforms, which I thought would make a really good scenic break for a model railway, which is one reason why I chose this location. This will be painted sky colour or whatever, and then this will be in front of that, and you won't notice, hopefully, that there's that I don't model that side of it. This is actually it's like a foam board. This is a foam in the middle, and there's paper either side, or a thin card either side. That's from Hobbycraft.
and I've used that for the back seams as well, all the way around. It's fairly strong. It's a hell of a lot easier to cut than wood is, and it's nice and smooth, and very cheap as well. So this front track isn't used as a platform line particularly. It more leads into the loops, the freight loops, at the other side of this this bridge in real life. I've just had it as a dead end side in there. You could get a good, you get a sprinter or a few wagons in there anyway to emerge, so you access that down this end. I've actually, when you're modelling a real location, you have to make certain adjustments. I think I've actually made this section slightly longer than it is in real life, and to a similar extent I probably shorten this second platform. As I've said before, this is a lot tighter than it is in real life, and at the end there is no curve that way. I don't think it's virtually straight. So one more suitable piece of roller stock I bought recently is this one, which is a Daypole Super Sprinter 156, which is what ran up there quite often, and you can see it's now taking the line to Thurso and disappearing around the back. Of course, in real life that'd be the last you saw of it, and it'd come back an hour or so later down that one, but in my version it actually continues all the way around in a loop, so I can run it like that if I want to, but that's not actually what they would do. The train would actually come this way, stop in the station and reverse round to Thurso, then come back later and then continue to Wick. That's with the sprinters anyway. My main reason for doing this is because I like 37s, and I'm going to be collecting a few of those. I have got one in the other room which is work in progress, which I'll show you later. I just need to run this engine in at the moment. It's a little bit noisy, but I'm quite pleased with it. It's got some nice lights on the front, and they did take over from the Class 37s in the late 80s, so I'll be sort of modelling the changeover period. So this is what's behind the scenic section, which is the fiddle yard. Not much of a fiddle yard, but there's enough for 2 or 3 trains to be stored. This section here I boxed in for the controller, which is an old Bachmann train set control at the moment, although I'm thinking about maybe going to DCC. The bodies seem to be easy to get off in Engage than the 900, which is always something that put me off DCC before. So this is a locomotive I bought before I decided it was going to be Georgeman's Junction, when I was going to do the Highland Main Line. It's, I've applied the transfers myself on this one to make it into a Scottish Class 47, because it was previously I think it was a West Country one actually. It was called Titan, and it used to say Intercity there, where it now says ScotRail. I forget what number it was, but I got some transfers from Railtech, and put a Highland Stag on it and the ScotRail logo and renumbered it. which I'm quite pleased with. I've also weathered it a bit as well, same way I usually weather my 00 stuff. Chassis weathered with the 50-50 mix of roof dirt and frame dirt from Rail Match, and similarly a bit of muck around the roofs and exhausts and things like that. So I won't be getting any more 47s, although I have got another one, which I haven't changed from factory yet. Here's that one. That's a standard Farish item. Sir Walter Scott in the blue stripe version of the ScotRail livery. I haven't done anything to that actually, or very little anyway. I think they have copper pickups which are visible through the bogies, and I think I touched those up black, so it's a little bit better. Now I'd thought about selling these two, but I'm particularly attached to that one now. I quite like what I've done to it, so it'll probably get kept and run on here anyway. As far as coaches are concerned, there's the Farish Mark 1s and Mark 2s. I've got 6 in total. There's this one Intercity Mark 1. There's a Mark 2 brake, Mark 1 buffet car, which I believe used to run to Thurso with just a couple of other coaches, which was a bit strange, but that's what happened. And there's another Mark 2, Mark 1 open, and the full brake coach. Now from Railtech I have got some ScotRail emblems to put on these, which will say ScotRail around there, which I'll do and show you at a later date. I'm also going to weather the underframes in the style of class 47, if you can tell. I've also got about 100 people, seated passengers, coming from China, and I'm going to try and get the bodies off these coaches and maybe paint up the seats inside and so on, so I'll show you that in an upcoming video. That's if I can get the tops off these. I've not tried yet. And I've also got a class 37, which is work in progress. I haven't got the nameplates yet, and it also needs some snow ploughs on the front fitting. This was actually from the Model Centre, which is near the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. They specialise in weathering and things. I've weathered it myself, but the engine itself was a limited edition 37027 Lockheed. So I decided to get that and renumber it, and put some new emblems on there, Inverness ones. Repainted the roof. I've not done many renumbering things in N-gauge before, so it was a bit of a learning curve. Some of my techniques that I use for my 00 gauge stuff isn't exactly working in N, so but I'll show you what I do to them in a video in the future. I do have another one coming, which is a 374, which I intend to renumber into one of the Inverness based locomotives. I also purchased from Hobbycraft some of this air dry clay, which I've never used before, which I'm going to use for some of the scenic sections, although there's not a lot of hills or anything to do around here. I will be building some of that up around this Thurso line to try and hide it. I mean, it is a little bit raised in real life, and also probably around this area, so it hides that gap in the wall, if you like. I'll also be painting the tracks. I'm going to get an aerosol from an exhibition which I think is happening next weekend, and spray these, covering the point blades of course, before I do too much more work on the scenics. That'll help make it look a little bit more realistic. So one of the next jobs is probably going to be the platform, which I'm going to try and cut out a card which will include that road which goes around there and joins the A9 there, also goes under the bridge. So I'll have to get the cutting of that right. Also I'm going to have to scratch build the station building there. I've seen a couple of footbridges which I'm going to have over here online, which are similar to the Caledonian style or the Highland Railway style. Not exactly, but close enough, I think. So I hope this project's of interest to you and inspired some people to do maybe even model a real location, which is a fun thing to do. It's got a lot of challenges, but it's always fun to research the real place, because you learn things you never would have done otherwise. So I'm going to go away, do a lot of reading and research online about this particular line and the locomotives, and I'll see you in about a week's time. And by that, of course, I mean now. Well, as you can see, I've done a little bit of work on the platforms now. I've also weathered those coaches which are going round. That's behind the new 374 I've purchased recently. Nothing's really fixed down. I'm still looking at photographs and positioning some of the Pico station sides and things. The nameplates arrived from Shoreplan for this locomotive, which is looking pretty good now. Just roughly cut out a card, a platform shape, which isn't fixed down yet. Sprayed it grey just to see how it looks. Also started building up some of the basic scenery with this same foam card, and I've applied the ScotRail decals to these coaches and weather the underside as well. I've also added some people, which you can just about see through the windows there, painted the seats up and the tables and so on. I think they're looking a lot more realistic. So it's been a few weeks work to get to this point. I hope you don't mind combining those weeks into one video, but I didn't want to do one video all about bought an engine, second video I bought a point. I just wanted to kick-start the project off, and then the future updates will be will alternate, I suppose, between Engage and the 001s. There'll be no less 00 reviews and things in the future, because that's very much still in existence in the other room. In fact, I bought quite a few details for the 00 layout at the exhibition last weekend at Doncaster. So thank you very much for subscribing. Comment below if you can help me out with any details at Georgiums Junction or train formations, anything like that, please do. I'll see you next time, when it'll probably be back to 00, but who knows, I'll just go between the two projects as I like. So hope this has been of interest. Maybe I'll get some new Engage fans subscribing, diesel fans. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time, and thanks again for 1,000 subscribers. Cheers, bye bye.